Aloha and shalom, everybody. We are live for the full moon activation. For those of you returning to the activation portal, welcome back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We've been doing these videos every single week for many years now. And an awesome global community has formed around these activations. So as usual, I'll just let you guys know I'm tuning in from the lovely Sedona, Arizona. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Where are you in the world? And for those of you who are new, I like to imagine that as people are dropping the names of where they're from, where they're tuning in from, you see that part of the world lighting up. Okay, so in your mind's eye, you picture the earth as though you're looking at it from outer space, and you just see those points on the earth lighting up. So we're lighting up the grid. And that's literally what's happening. So just aligning with the truth of what's actually happening here, we can send some energy to that process. We can empower that process, strengthen that process, and strengthen this community. We have New Orleans in the house, Tucson in the house, London, UK in the house. And I'm just shuffling the cards while you guys tune in. So I'm saying hello to each of the cards, and each of the cards represents a different part of the mind, individual and collective. So what we're doing is just waking up all the different parts of the mind. Virginia's in the house. So it's sort of like we're lighting up the different parts of the brain, waking it up as we shuffle the cards. So the full moon activation is all about coming to this pinnacle within the cycle, right? Because we have 4 stages every month of the moon. We have Georgia in the house, Florida in the house. So the full moon is not the end of the cycle. The final quarter is. So we're at this turning point, though, with the full moon, where we're able to see the full picture of what's been going on all month. And for the week ahead, we just take that in. We simply be present to take in fully the whole picture, the whole message, the most important point of this cycle. And then for the final quarter next week, we process that information, we digest it, we close up the past cycle and set the stage for the new moon next week. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that also with these cards. They're the Hebrew letters, and they work the same way as the tarot. Each one represents a different part of the mind and a different piece of archetypal wisdom. So we're just touching them all, saying hello to them all, waking them up. We've got Australia in the house. We've got a lot of Arizonians in the house tonight. Thank you in advance to the archetypes, faces of the one, who are within each one of us for this message we're about to receive. All right, so what's the challenge this week? The number 1 card to represent the challenge tonight and in the week ahead, which means it's a challenge in regard to our ability to receive the fullness of the message. Okay, it's like the moon is full in the sky, the message is clear, it's fully illuminated, the message of the month. So what is the challenge in fully receiving that picture? What's maybe in the way? Which we shouldn't fear, because the challenge is also the gift. Within the challenge is the opportunity, which becomes a gift when we access it. All right, and something we're leaving behind, something we're closing up to free up the energy and the space to be able to receive the fullness of the picture that's being revealed to us now. And with the Hebrew letters, the ally for this process, tonight and in the week ahead. Again, our very first card is a major arcanum card. Notice how this happens to us like almost every week, right? Almost every week, oftentimes. Both of the tarot cards we pull, because 2 out of 3 are tarot, 1 is a Hebrew letter, but both of the cards we pull are these major arcanum cards, which should tell you guys that we're onto something. When we're getting these major cards, out of the entire deck of cards, we're getting these. Rare. It means that we're hitting the nail on the head, that we're asking the right questions, that we are using our collective consciousness to go straight to the point. That's what you should realize when this happens, which seems to happen almost every time. So the Lovers, also known as the 2 Paths, is the card that represents the challenge for this full moon tonight and in the week ahead. And it's not always about lovers. It's a metaphor, okay? This is why I like the name the 2 Paths, because a more accurate description of this card would be a fork in the road, a choice point. Time to make a decision to choose this road or that, this path or that. But when we remember that there is only one path, the royal path, which tarot means royal path. When we remember there's only one path, truly, there's only one, then we can relax a little bit about all of the options. You know, sometimes you feel overwhelmed because there's so many options. Remember, there's only one path, truly. Behind this world of appearances, there's only one path, and it's the path of virtue. So when we're making decisions, and this week seems to be about decisions, choice, free will, remember that the best choice you could possibly make is the one that feels the best in your heart. The one that, despite the material circumstances, you know is going to bring you the greatest opportunities. And I don't mean necessarily opportunity for romance or money or, you know, this bigger, grander life. It's really about the opportunities for multiplying the light. The only thing that lasts forever is the light. Then that choice point becomes a matter of, okay, which choice is going to lead me to the most opportunities for me to multiply that which is the only thing that is real, the light. To multiply the only thing that lasts forever. The thing that is my original essence, which is truth, love, light, life. So this week, while we go through this realization that the paths are many in this world of appearances, as we move through these, these next few days ahead, and we're faced with these choice points, but both big and small. The universe doesn't care how big the choice is or how small the decision is that needs to be made. Only we judge those things as big or small, important or less important. But when it comes to free will, when it comes to our ability to choose or to make a decision, the method to do that to the best of our ability, multidimensionally, is always the same. It comes back to law, universal truth. It doesn't matter how big or small you're judging the situation to be. Choice is choice, and it's about how we use it. What are our choices reflecting? Because whether we're talking about which career path to go, which relationship to deepen or to walk away from, the self-inquiry should always be the same. What should I choose to think? What should I choose to say? What actions should I choose to take that are going to lead us as a whole, to the greatest prosperity? And you might think, what does this job have to do with the whole? What does this relationship have to do with everybody? This is about me, or this is about me and my partner, or me and my job. No, it's all about the all. Always, always. It's absolutely true. And until we can see from that perspective of oneness and connectivity, we will be living a delusion. You see, we've been conditioned to live from that place of separateness consciousness, to think that when we come to that, what seems like a lofty perspective of, wow, yeah, everything is one, everything is one, but we still need to be realistic. You can't be any more realistic in going to that space of remembrance that everything is one. It's because we haven't been living in that space that our world is seeing so much suffering today, in our individual lives and in our collective reality. When we can stop making excuses and saying everything is one but, and when we can start making decisions from that absolute faith and knowing that everything is one, then we'll be on the road to success. Then it won't matter what that choice looks like on the outside, because we'll be moving from the inside out. We'll be making decisions from the most stable foundation, from the most reliable source, which is universal truth that lives inside all things and inside your heart. So if you're moving from that place, you never have to worry that you're taking a wrong turn, you're choosing the wrong path. There is only one path. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. And you guys know I like to talk about the previous card and the card that follows, because the tarot is a sequence. So if we're at this part in the story, 6, we should know 5 and we should know 7. 5 is the Hierophant. It's the archetype within us all that represents the need to cultivate knowledge and apply it to wisdom. It's the one inside that knows that both of these keys, wisdom and knowledge, need each other to unlock the door. And it's not just about, just useless information. It's about self-knowledge. When you know that everything is self, then the study of anything becomes a self-study. It becomes a study of self and reflection of your own self. So it's when we start to, the Hierophant is when we start to look around us and see our own proportion and the divine proportion within all things, within all beings. And from there, we start to understand the truth that underlies all things, the truth of our reality, that pattern within all. And the more we practice that, right, as the Hierophant within, the more we practice that, the more we ready ourselves for these choice points, these forks in the road, these times where we are tested and we have to direct our free will. We have to direct our will in the appropriate direction. And I'm not talking about what that looks like on the outside. I'm talking about on the inner plane. Okay, so we gather knowledge, we apply it wisely, knowledge and wisdom, and then we come to a choice point to prove what we've learned. It's one thing to study, it's another to apply, to actualize what we learn. You guys know this. We already have all the answers within us, but what good is that if we're not applying it to our reality? So the Hierophant is where we learn the lesson. Then we come to the 2 paths, aka the Lovers, which is when we're tested to walk our talk. This card is also known as trials, challenges. Okay, so we learn, we study, we learn about the wisdom in our hearts. The Hierophant is also known as the heart's compass. And then we use that compass to navigate these choice points. And depending upon how we access this part of the story will determine our future success. The Chariot, how high we'll rise. And if you recall, the art on the Chariot card has a man, a charioteer in the chariot, but there are no horses on reins. There are sphinxes and there are no reins. and the canopy is made of the stars. And so it's implying this idea that ascension doesn't have to do with the physical chariot and the physical distance we go. But it's about this chariot, this vessel, Merkava, right? You are the vessel, the vehicle for transformation. It's about inner travel. So depending upon how we use what we learned to navigate the path will determine our rate of growth, will determine our ascension process. So this is the challenge of the week. How are we going to navigate these choice points? And again, it's not just about the big decisions or the little ones. Stop judging them as big or small. In fact, catch yourself, stay alert, and catch yourself when you find yourself judging your choices to be more important in one instance and less important in another. Rise above those judgments to see that the ability to even make a choice is the gift, the God-given gift of our free will. Start with gratitude for that. And then from there, vow to stay present and observe when you're making those judgments so that you can willfully choose to redirect your awareness to rise above those judgments. And remember that it's not about the decision on the outside. It's about the ability to make decisions, which is behind every decision, regardless of your judgment of it being big or small. It's the archetype who is the decision maker within us, the one who directs our will for better or for worse. All right, that's why we have Adam and Eve here. It's all about temptation, because we're going to be tempted to do the opposite of what we know is right. And it's in those moments when it's hardest that when we make the correct choice, we are given a gift on the other side. And that's what the chariot represents, that ascension. So take the opportunity tonight and in the week ahead to really stay present and look at every opportunity you have to express your free will. Look at every opportunity you have to make a choice. And in those moments, in every single moment you make a choice, and we're making choices all day. So especially in the little moments when you almost let it slip by you. Stay present and say, oh yes, this is an opportunity for me to show what I've learned, to act wisely, to choose the virtuous path, because although it looks like the paths are many, there's only one. And I might catch myself trying to make a choice determined by, what's outside of me. I might catch myself making a choice based on what I see around me, outside of me. And it's in those moments that I want to look within and say, hold on, let me return to truth, lest I be confused or misled or tempted by my senses or by the outside world. Let me go back within and remember universal truth. Remember my morals and my values and my beliefs. And when I return to that place truly, then I'll be ready to open my eyes, look around this world, not be deceived, and make a decision from the center of my heart, despite anyone else outside of me trying to tell me to go a different way. Despite the temptations, despite the challenges, I will be so strongly centered in my truth that I will be able to act on it. So use every opportunity tonight and in the week ahead when you're making decisions to activate this archetype within you that knows the perfect choice to make, not based on what's outside, but based on what is inside, what is eternal, based on the light, which is truth, eternal. And again, this is an archetype that's always present. So yes, you want to do this tonight and in the week ahead, but the reason you're doing it right now is to lock it in on a deeper level so that you're doing this all the time. It's only coming up as the challenge of this week because the energies are obviously aligned in a specific way that are going to support us right now more than ever to do this work, to lock in this program. Okay, ready for the second card. And the one we're leaving behind, 8 of Swords. And this is the card of feeling stuck. The suit of swords is a suit of challenges. And the thing is, there's only one here. There's no one else. We are one. There's only one here. Only you can keep yourself stuck. Okay? So how I see these two things, because we're freeing this up so that we can make space for this. We're letting go of the victim consciousness. Whatever excuses you've been making to disempower yourself, and most of this is usually subconscious, right? We're not even aware that we're doing it. Could be based on childhood programs, past life, whatever. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But you got to ask yourself, what excuses have I been making to take away from this process of strengthening my ability to make the right decisions? Have I been keeping myself in a low vibration, a low frequency, because I've been choosing to numb myself with drugs, alcohol, maybe a relationship that is unhealthy, a job that is unhealthy, and then I'm using that drug or that relationship or that job as an excuse? Even worse, I'm saying, oh, well, I can't do the right thing or make the right choices because he won't let me, or she won't let me, or this job doesn't allow it. It's the drug speaking. It's the alcohol speaking. No, it's your choice. It's your choice to stay with that job, to stay with that person, to stay with that habit. It's all a choice. So it's time to end the blame game and eliminate whatever you have to eliminate in order to empower yourself to be the best decision maker possible, in order to empower yourself to make the choices that are going to keep you on the one path. There's no excuse. We're all here to find that path and stay on that path of goodness, of virtue. We cannot continue to make excuses and saying, he or she or this situation won't allow me to be my highest self. This situation doesn't allow me to be honest. This situation doesn't allow me to be kind. This situation doesn't allow me to be accepting and supportive and loving and patient. So this is an invitation right now from your own heart, where the archetypes live. The Alliance is inviting you to look at the ways in which you've been making excuses, avoiding decisions, telling yourself you're not prepared, you're not ready to make those decisions because of X, Y, or Z. It's an invitation to stop making excuses, to look at the ways in which we can redesign our reality, both inner and outer, to remember our mission of bringing heaven to earth, prioritize this mission, and actualize it through all of our choices in thought, speech, and action. Now is the time. We're here for no other reason than to multiply the light. It's written into the codes of every ancient scripture. Nothing lasts forever but the light. And we have the opportunity to embody that light because it's our original essence. And all we need to do is get out of the way. The ego needs to get out of the way, right? If we're embodying vice, we can't embody virtue because virtue is the light. Vice is that darkness, heaviness, suffering, pain. And when we're in that frequency, we're not open to that light. But instead, if we can do the work to clear, put in that effort and be a vessel for that light, the light comes through us, and through our senses, we make something of that light. We actualize that light into this world, and that light is multiplied and goes on forever. So there's no more worthy pursuit than the one of multiplying the light. So what I'm saying is, if you're in a job or you're in a relationship or you're choosing to have an unhealthy habit, like whatever drug it is, then you're choosing to stray from that path, which is fine. We'll always return. But why wait when you have these tools, when you have this guidance? When you have this awareness that it doesn't have to be prolonged, the suffering doesn't have to be prolonged. You can choose to shift right here, right now. So if we're here to multiply the light, and that job or that relationship or that habit is your excuse for not walking that path of virtue, obviously it's got to go, because there's nothing more important in this life. If you don't do that, you will never feel your purpose. You won't even really be living. You think you're alive because you feel like you're in this body and breathing, but you're as good as dead because you are not contributing to that light. You're suffering, you're in pain, you're in anxiety, you're shut off from your true self, which means you're shut off from that light within all things. You're closed up, you're isolated, and that's not how life is intended to be for any of us. It's time to make a change, individually and as a collective society. Whatever you've been holding on to that's been keeping you stuck and keeping you from empowering yourself to make the right decisions, this is your invitation to let it go. Stop making excuses. Make a big change if you have to. Make a big change if you have to. And remember that if you don't do it now, it's going to happen eventually because it's not sustainable. So don't be tempted. Remember the truth and begin to fearlessly think, speak, and act from that place. And you will find yourself on the one highest path. And the ally of the week is the letter Resh. It's the Hebrew letter Resh. And this letter is connected to the card 20 in the tarot, Judgment. And that card is all about that mother and father perspective within you, judging always through you, through your own eyes. But accessing the deepest initiation within that card looks like those moments when you're able to rise above your small self, right? Rise above the material details of the situation and sort of look in on your life from above. So it's sort of like, use your imagination here, it's sort of like you have the mother, father in your heart on a throne or whatever, however you want to see it, and you're able to pause, release them, liberate them, right? Judgment, like the soul rising, and then they turn to face you and have a dialogue. Okay, you don't need to wait till you die to have this experience. You can have this experience in any moment if you choose. All it requires is a pause, the ability to be clear, to have an awareness of this process even, and to initiate it, like an out-of-body experience, or just simply with your awareness rising above the situation to that mother-father perspective. The Resh is also symbolized by a head. Every Hebrew letter has a hieroglyphic symbol associated with it. The Resh is a head. The word Rosh in Hebrew actually is head. And so it's saying the head of, the top of, the leader, the teacher. R is also the first letter of Rachamim. It's compassion and it's the womb. So what is that saying as our ally this week? It's saying that if we want to get unstuck, if we want to find that right path, and there's only one, if we want to find it, we have to be able to rise above the two paths or the many paths to the one. And so if we think of Rosh like the head, it's like we need to rise to the very top. Judgment, mother-father perspective. We need to rise to the top. The Godhead, whatever you want to call it, the highest perspective. To be able to see the bigger picture. And from there, we Rosh, remember our purpose. We remember who we are, why we're here, how we are one with that head, that most high, that Godhead, source energy. And we need to remember that divine mission. We need to align our will with divine will. Remember our ultimate task of bringing heaven to earth. As above, right, Rosh, head, top, so below. Only when we rise, Rosh, Resh, rise, can we remember. to stop with this victim consciousness, to stop with all these habits, these choosing these situations, choices, again, choosing these situations that are keeping us in this perpetual state of suffering. Only we can end it. Moment by moment, staying present and making the right choices, right, resh, big and small. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about how am I ever going to get unstuck. Just worry about what is right and true. Stay centered in that truth. Stay focused on that truth, and it will guide your way out of this any sticky situation. You don't have to sit there and worry about how am I ever going to do this. You're never going to get out then. Then you're just as good as stuck. Instead, remember that truth is the light. It will guide your way. Tune back into that truth. It's always there inside of you. So tune back into that truth. And step by step, choice by choice, remember every choice, big and small, in thought, in speech, and in action, choice by choice. As you make the right decisions based in truth, you will be led out of the mud like a lotus from the muddy waters to the top. You don't have to worry about the strategy. You just have to stay focused on the truth and follow it. Follow the laws. They're eternal. They're everlasting. They're all reliable. And it's a lot easier to stay focused on those core truths, those morals, those universal truths, than it is to try to play God and worry about every single situation. And how am I going to do this? How am I ever going to get out? Then what are you doing in your head? You're just getting yourself stuck in a rut, stuck in a loop. And so you always manifest a reflection of that. The truth will set you free internally and all around you. So return to that. Resh, return, remember. Stay centered on the truth, fiercely so. And remember, there will be temptations, there will be trials, there will be challenges, but there's no chariot without the challenge, right? 6 to 7, challenge to chariot. When there's nothing to rise above, there's no opportunity. So trust you will be tested. It's given a tarot card for a reason in the wheel, in the sequence of tarot, because it's inevitable. So accept it right now. Be grateful, because the test is how we actualize what we've learned. You got to show what you got. You got to show what you've learned. So expect it. And have no fear. In fact, be ready for the most contradictory situations to arise. Be ready for your will to be tested, for you to be so tempted to continue in your ways, to continue staying stuck. And then stay present in that moment. Rise above, rise above. See the bigger picture and say, oh, I'm not going to be fooled by this temporary material situation. Despite what all the outside is telling me to do, I'm going to take a moment to go within, remember the truth. And then when I come back out into this world to make that decision, big or small, I'm going to act from that place. I'm not going to be tempted or distracted by what's outside of me. And especially when it seems contradictory to do the right thing, I'm going to go for it even stronger. I'm going to go for it with more confidence, because the universe likes that. When against all odds, I choose the truth. Even when it feels like I'm in trouble if I do this. If you're doing the right thing, you're never in trouble. You will always be saved. You will always be guided. You will always receive a gift on the other side. So don't be afraid. Especially when it seems like all odds are against you. Choose the truth. And each time you do that, it gets easier. It becomes less scary. It becomes more graceful and more magical. So I'm envisioning the collective right now, and I'm seeing it as though this is us as a collective. And it's a woman, so it's speaking to our feminine nature, our intuitive nature. So I'm seeing it as like our collective intuition is bound right now. It doesn't have the freedom to express that inner truth of who we really are. It's like our creative potential cannot even unfurl. cannot be actualized in this world because we're keeping ourselves trapped with all these excuses, all these poor choices, but they are our own. And then I'm seeing us as a collective remembering that the truth is within and it will set us free. And I'm seeing us as a whole accepting the responsibility of putting on that decision maker's hat. I'm seeing us as a collective affirming, yes, we know what to do. We know where to go because we know who we are and we know why we're here. And we're ready to make decisions that are for the highest good of one and all. That even when it seems like this decision is so insignificant and can't possibly affect the whole, it will. And in those moments, when I question it, when I doubt, I'll remember, I'll rise above to the bigger picture and I'll say, even in my smallest decisions, my choice will have a profound effect on the whole. And in that moment, even for the smallest decision, I invoke that sense of responsibility and I make the absolute best choice that I can. That's what I see for all of us. So thanks for doing this work with all of us right here, right now, and always. If you want to know more about how to access these archetypes, for example, if you want to tune more into this particular one for the week ahead, it is in my book number 1, The Royal Path. This book is on the major arcanum archetypes. My Royal Path 2 is on the minor arcanum and elemental suits. Please reach out to me, ask me for a copy if you're interested. And there are questions at the end of the book in Royal Path 1 that help you to go deeper and really touch that place within you that is one with that archetype. The questions help you to get in that mindset, to really prepare yourself to activate that particular archetype. So please reach out if you're interested. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope to see you guys again next week. Tomorrow is Shabbat. Today was Purim, so happy Purim for anybody celebrating. Tomorrow is Shabbat, so I'll be going live for the Parsha story, the Torah story, in my private group Shabbat Crew on Facebook. We also have a private group on Facebook called the Archetypal Alliance for those walking the Royal Path. If you want to join us there, we kind of talk and share our personal readings or ask each other questions or share inspiration in between the activations, so throughout the week. So feel free to join us. Thank you guys again. If you enjoyed this and you want to share how it made you feel, you want to write a review, you can do that on my Royal Path Tarot page here on Facebook. So facebook.com/Royal Path Tarot, and you can share how this activation made you feel. Maybe you've been coming for a long time and you haven't yet considered doing that. I invite you to, and I would so appreciate it. And also for those of you who have family members or friends who are not on Facebook, you will be able to find this video on YouTube, Rebecca Magic, and Instagram, Rebecca Magic. And feel free to share it right here on Facebook with your favorite groups, with your family and friends who do use Facebook. Aloha.